Hey guys, I saw a video from PuffBear the other day with a contest for the best lineup or best position players of the 80s, 90s, and I guess 2000s up to date. Thought it was kind of cool. I don't normally do these kind of things, but I thought this would be fun to put this list together. So I went ahead and did mine. Again, this is the best at each position since 1980, so about 30 years worth of baseball. It was very tough to pick on some of these, so here we go, and I'll kind of give my reasoning as I go through. I did this in a lineup fashion. I was actually filling out a lineup card. Leading off, playing right field, I had to go with Ichiro. That guy, if you look at his hits compared to anybody else in history, even compared to Pete Rose, if you count his Japan stats, he's ahead of Rose in hits. I mean, the guy has been unbelievable. And defensively, I mean, that guy has a laser for an arm. Very underrated. Doesn't get a lot of credit due to his arm. And speed, man. Speed at the top of the lineup is important. Ichiro in his prime, is as fast as any of them. Next up, I went with batting in the 2-hole. I went with Jeter, shortstop. Again, could have argued Ripken, could have argued even A-Rod. I decided to go non-steroids on this. I know A-Rod has admitted to using them. I do have a controversial pick in here, so I'll explain that when I get to it. But anyway, as far as being a winner, being a good fielder, being a good hitter, Jeter's got the most hits of any shortstop ever. Can't go wrong right there. Batting third, Pujols, arguably the best hitter in the game today. I want him in my 3 spot. He takes first base. Almost went with Eddie Murray. Just over his career, his numbers are unbelievable. He did play for a long time though, so those numbers necessarily didn't have the seasons that Pujols has had, but in a total career, Murray's got it all. And even Tomei, you could argue, just about 600 home runs. Batting fourth, I went with Griffey in center field. Arguably one of the best players in the 90s, if not the best player. Injuries didn't hamper him. He would have been the best of all time, probably. The guy had some insane seasons, and from what we know, like most of them were clean. Batting fifth, here's where my controversy comes in. I went with a left fielder. I went with Manny Ramirez. I know he tested positive for the Clomid or whatever, the estrogen drug, but not necessarily steroids. I don't know that he was caught up in the whole 90s thing with the roid use, but that guy, as far as a pure hitter goes, there really hasn't been anybody better over the last 15 to 20 years as Manny Ramirez. I mean, fielding, yeah, he's definitely a weak spot in left field, but I don't really care about that. His bat is going to make up for it. And if you have these other 8 guys around him, they're all Gold Glove winners, so it doesn't really matter about Manny Ram's fielding. Okay, so now I'm at the 6th spot. I went with George Brett at third base. Definitely could have put Schmidt here. Schmidt's probably the better fielder, definitely better power hitter, but I think George Brett is the more complete player overall. I think hitting-wise, he's got it all. Doubles, triples, home runs. Batting average was insane, almost at 400 one year. And he even has a decent amount of speed. Not a lot, but he can run. Then I went to the 7th spot. I went with Pudge, Ivan Rodriguez, at my catcher. Definitely could have put Piazza here. But again, looking at the overall picture with fielding, with running, with batting average, with a little bit of power mixed in, I think Ivan Rodriguez has it. They were close hitting-wise. Piazza's offensive numbers are insane, but he's terrible at catching. He can't throw anybody out, which Pudge can. He has like a 49% caught stealing rate, which is unbelievable. And then 8th spot at my second baseman, this is Roberto Alomar. Could have gone with Sandberg here easily. Power-wise, Gold Gloves, Sandberg had it all, and he was an amazing player. But Alomar, 500-something stolen bases. He also hit for power. His career batting average is great. Unbelievable fielder. Maybe the best, if not one of the best, fielding second baseman of all time. And again, Sandberg was an amazing fielder too, but Alomar could cover, just about half the infield with his range. And then my last spot is the pitcher, and that's going to be Maddox. Thought about Pedro, thought about Randy Johnson. You just can't go against Maddox. I think from 92 to 98, he was the most dominant pitcher, dominant right-hander this game has seen. Koufax had some dominant years. Randy Johnson had some dominant years, but I don't think anybody was quite like Maddox. 4 Cy Youngs in a row. Pedro had better seasons. A couple of years, I think from like 97 to 99, 2000, 2003, somewhere in there. But, I mean, Zach Greinke had an unbelievable season. So you can't just go off one season or 2 seasons. You got to kind of go over a range of years, especially if you're looking at 30 years worth of stats. So went with Maddox there, plus fielding. He is a Gold Glove winner, and he can hit a little bit. Maddox definitely can hold a stick. And then my closer, I went with Mariano Rivera. I don't know that you can even argue anybody else on this one. As far as the closer for the last 30 years, he's really it. Maybe Hoffman. I even thought about Smoltz because in 2 or 3 years he was closing. Even when he was in his mid-30s, he was absolutely lights out. If he was a closer for 15 years like Mariano Rivera, I think his numbers would probably be better. But postseason-wise, Mariano Rivera has been unhittable. He was great in the regular season, so I won't do that. Anyway, that's it. That's my lineup. That's PuffBear's contest for the best MLB lineup of the last 30 years.